Welcome back to the Aussie Prepper channel and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about the incident that happened in Queensland recently where a police officer was conducting traffic duty and he ended up throwing his radar gun at an offending vehicle that he was attempting to stop. So let's have a quick look at that clip and then we'll start discussing it a little bit further. Now that we've seen the clip, let's get two things out of the way straight off the bat. I do not agree with the driver's behaviour. He was breaking the law, he was speeding, which attracts a monetary fine in most cases, and he also failed to stop when directed by police, which is also an offence. So the driver potentially committed two offences, one that's generally dealt with a monetary fine, and one that's most likely, if it's the first offence, also dealt with just a monetary fine. However, depending on the circumstances, the failing to stop for police on the first offence could also attract 50 days of prison time. However, in most cases, it would just be dealt with a fine. And the second point I'd like to make is that police are generally held to a higher standard of behaviour than the general public, because they are the ones that are supposedly leading by example and they're the enforcers of our laws and as such should be abiding by those laws and at all times behaving in a responsible manner. However, this guy in this case decided to act like a 3-year-old toddler that was denied a chocolate bar. After watching the video, do you feel like this person is a positive representation of a law-abiding citizen and representative of the Queensland Police Force or any other police force in Australia for that matter? I feel that is a definite no. Second of all, did this guy have a sane, rational response considering the situation of the car not stopping? There was nothing happening. It was just simply a car didn't stop. Do you feel that response that he had was reasonable? I definitely do not think it was. That response actually demonstrates to me that there's some underlying mental issues and self-control issues and violence issues with this person. I would love to see how this man interacts with his family, with his wife, with his friends. I don't think it would be in a positive way. That's just my personal opinion, but going by his actions, he appears to be a person that lacks self-control and acts out violently when he doesn't get his own way. Thirdly, did he act like he's mentally stable? Definitely not. As already mentioned in my last point, it wasn't a rational response. It's not normal behaviour. A normal human being does not act like that. A normal adult does not behave like that. It is not how humans are supposed to act. He demonstrated a lack of total self-control and disregard of the safety of the driver and those people around him. He risked the safety of every person that was around him at that particular time. Fourth question is, should this person be paid public funds, taxpayers' money, to enforce the laws of the country when he himself committed several serious criminal offences in attempting to enforce an arbitrary law of speeding? So in my opinion, no, he definitely should not be getting paid taxpayers' money to enforce laws that he is breaking himself with much more serious offences. Most highway and traffic cops are on a 6-figure income, so considering the amount of money this man is getting paid, I definitely do not feel he should be getting paid taxpayers' money to enforce arbitrary laws when he himself breaks laws that are much more serious and risks the safety of the public while doing so. Definitely, he should not be getting paid and he should not be in the job any longer. And my final point on this is, consider this. This guy is walking around in public with a loaded firearm. Should a person that has such a short fuse and is so reactionary in relation to minor things be able to walk around the public with a loaded firearm? I definitely do not think this person has the personal self-control, mental stability, and capability to be carrying a firearm in public. This is a serious danger to anyone that interacts or possibly disagrees with this person. So imagine if this person was actually exposed to a serious high-risk, high-stress situation. I feel like he's liable to kill someone, especially if people disagree with him. This guy walking the streets with the authority, power that he's got, carrying loaded firearms, is a danger to everyone that interacts with him. He is dangerous. He has not got the mental stability and capability to be able to be in control of a firearm. If any other person acted the same way and they had a firearms license, they would have their firearms license suspended and they would have their firearms confiscated, even if they were not carrying those firearms at the time of committing the offences that this person committed. Now, I have mentioned a few times in this video already that he has committed several serious offences. Now, what are these offences that he's committed? Now, he's committed 2 counts of willful damage to property. And I'll read this off my notes just so I get it right, because I'm not up on the Queensland laws 100% and I've actually had to look this up. Now, willful damage comes under section 469 of the Crimes Code Act 1899, and it carries a maximum penalty of 5 years imprisonment. And this 5-year prison can be increased to 7 years for acts of aggravation. If the act of causing the damage puts other people at risk, that would be a factor of aggravation. So by throwing the radar gun at the car, he's putting the driver of the car and the people around him at risk. So we've got 2 counts of willful damage. 1 count to the car for any damages caused to the car as it was driving past, and the 2nd count for the radar gun. Now, I believe these radar guns are thousands and thousands of dollars. I've heard the figure of $8,000 mentioned, and that is $8,000 of our taxpayers' money. So who's going to replace or repair the radar gun? Because it is a delicate electronic measuring instrument, it likely needs work. You can't just pick that radar gun up, even if it wasn't destroyed, and keep using it, because anything after that would probably not be a correct reading. So this radar gun is either permanently destroyed or needs some major reconstructive work. I don't know which one it is. And like I said, I have heard these things are worth around $8,000. So he has destroyed $8,000 worth of public property, and he has also damaged a car. So there's 2 counts of willful damage. The 3rd offence, again, I've had to look this up under Queensland law, and I'm going to read it out to you just so we get it perfectly right. Now, the offence is endangering the safe use of a vehicle by throwing an object at the vehicle. Under section 26 of the Summary Offences Act 2005, the maximum penalty for throwing an object at a vehicle is 2 years in prison. So if we take these 3 indictments and say 2 counts at willful damage at 5 years and 1 count of throwing object at vehicle for 2 years, that's a 12-year prison sentence if served consecutively for the offences that the person committed. And if you consider the factors of aggravation, as I spoke about earlier, you can add another 4 years of that. So now you're looking at 16 years prison time for the offences that he's committed. Now, no one's likely to get the 16 years, but the maximum prison time for those offences is 16 years in prison. And he committed those offences in response to a speeding ticket and a fail to stop, which attracts a 50-day prison sentence at most, but realistically the person will probably just get a slap on the wrist or a couple of $100 fine. Again, I'm not agreeing with the driver, but 2 wrongs do not make a right. The driver's done the wrong thing does not mean the cop can do more wrong things in response to that. He is bound by the law. He needs to act lawfully. All he needed to do was take note of the number plate and then follow the matter up later. like every other police officer in Australia does or should be doing. Now, what do I think should happen, and what would be a reasonable response to the situation that would instill confidence in the police force, in the Queensland Police Force? The officer should immediately be suspended from duty, have his appointments and firearms taken off, and he should then be criminally charged with the 3 indictments that I've explained earlier in the video. The most embarrassing thing for Queensland Police is, instead of having a reasonable response, they lied as an organisation. They actually released a press statement saying that he acted in self-defence. There was no self-defence. I have already covered self-defence in other videos, and if you're interested in those, look them up and see what self-defence is. This is not it. Throwing an object at a car that has already driven past you is not self-defence by any stretch of the imagination, and the police should know this, and they are literally just trying to gaslight the public into believing the lies that they're telling. They outright lied. It is not self-defence. This, to me, is a typical response by police to the public. They are not being responsible, they're not acting in accordance to the law, and they're actually lying to the public, which is absolutely disgraceful and disgusting. And those people that lied to the public saying that he's acted in self-defence at the press statement should also be held responsible and stripped of their position of being media representatives of the Queensland Police Force. They lied. They outright lied. This behaviour by the Queensland Police Force actually undermines the trust that the public will have in the police force. How can you trust a police force that is lying to you? The smartest action they could have taken was suspend the officer, charge the officer, inform the public of what has happened, and take responsibility and act accordingly. Not get on the TV and lie to the public about it being self-defence. And to this day, the officer has not been charged, and from what I understand, no action has been taken against the officer at all, unless they have done so and not informed the public. But again, they should be keeping the public updated on what's happening with this. But all that's going to happen is it's just going to get swept under the rug and never be heard of again. And this guy will still be walking the streets with a bad temper, no self-control, with a loaded firearm on his hip, which is a real concern. Now, if you've got any comments about anything I said, you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. I'm always interested to see the discussion in the comment section. In the meantime, if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favour, give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more videos from Aussie Prepper. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.